Hello, I'm Joanne Bester. We'll be discussing the tools of management with Roland Kruin, which is really going to explain to us what we have at our disposal to be able to manage our ecosystems. Hi Roland, so now that we've discussed the 4 ecosystem processes, let's discuss the tools of management that we have to be able to manage those processes.
Thanks, Joanne. So we've had this nice discussion about all the lovely theory and how touchy-feely make you feel good. Okay, now how do we actually do this stuff? So we know that we've got the lenses that we need to look at the world at for eco-literacy. We've got the 4 eco process which we need to manage. So how do we do it? Now we only have 4 tools at our disposal, which is both scary and refreshing. Those are the only 4 tools of management we have available. And these tools are technology. So humans are very, very quick to jump on the technology bandwagon because we like quick fixes. We like to deal with a problem with an obvious solution. And for every problem we have, I guarantee you there'll be a salesman just up the road wanting to sell you a solution. Okay, so we got to be, when we use a tool of technology, we've got to be very, very circumspect as to whether we are in fact using this tool to solve a problem, or just to fix our ego or fix some other short-term band-aid solution. So these tools of management are, I'd like to talk about them as they are wonderful servants but terrible masters. The moment you become dependent on any one of these tools, you're in trouble. Let's take the fertilizer dependency. That's using technology. So you've found something that's been synthesized in a factory to enhance production on a piece of land. Now, if you don't fertilize this year, you're in trouble. Your crops won't come up. So we need to fix a whole lot of other stuff. And technology is not necessarily the solution there. It's a short-term solution, but it's not going to fix the problem. The second tool of management we have is tool of fire. Fire is a very ancient occurrence in nature, but as a tool for modifying ecosystems, it's relatively recent, probably about 10,000 years. Fire has a range of impacts on, depending on brittleness, from a non-brittle environment to a brittle environment. Non-brittle environment fire would have quite a harsh but a very short-lived impact. On the brittle environment, fire would have a very harsh and a very long-term impact. So one's got to be very careful. There's a big obsession worldwide about a fire management system. Just those words shoot up warning lights like you won't believe, because the word system in nature doesn't exist. It's an ebb and flow, and we've got to respond to this as and when we need it. So fire, as a tool of management, you need to know why you're using it. Be very clear about that. You need to know why. What are you trying to achieve? Because if you have to use fire this year and next year and the year after that, what's going to happen? You're going to make the soil bare, and the water cycle we so desperately need is going to be badly impacted. So we need to understand what we're trying to achieve with the use of this tool, what impact it's going to have on our ecosystem, where we are on the brittleness scale, and then we can start using it judiciously at the timing and with the post-fire management that we require. The third tool of management is non-disturbance, which basically means there are 2 types of non-disturbance. There's partial and total non-disturbance. Partial non-disturbance is kind of low animal numbers for long periods of time, like explained with Acox's description. Animals are basically walking between the plants. There's overgrazing taking place, but there's over-resting. The main problem is over-resting, this huge buildup of oxidizing plant material, which is stopping that carbon entering the ecosystem, which is basically impoverishing the whole ecosystem and causing what I call a constipation in the carbon cycle. Total non-disturbance is removing all animals completely, and that in the non-brittle environments, if you wanted to rewild a piece of land, letting it advance to a higher state of succession, non-disturbance is the tool of management. If you try to do that in our brittle environments, you'll have exactly the opposite impact. So you leave a piece of land in the brittle environments completely undisturbed, it'll just regress. So we need to understand how powerful the tool of non-disturbance is, because by deciding to do nothing, that is also a decision, and that will have an impact. So we can't just leave it to be. Humans play a role, and we have a very important management role there. The fourth tool of management is what we call living organisms, and that's split into two: animal impact and grazing. Very, very important that we understand these are totally different concepts. Okay, this obsession with ultra-high density grazing, ultra-drukbeweiding, those two concepts do not belong in the same sentence. They are different. Animal impact is what we use to cycle carbon, churn up the soil, break the old plant material, get the dung and urine concentrated. But during that process, the animals are eating nothing. Grazing is what animals do to feed themselves. Animal impact is what we use animals to serve as a proxy for nature to keep this carbon cycle going. So we need to be very sure of what those two are. So animal impact is fairly self-explanatory. Grazing is really the holy grail for plant health, because you get better plant health, more sunlight energy captured, better root systems, healthier plants, healthier animals, more carrying capacity, less interplant spacing, and so the whole world gets better. So what's really important, and it's interesting data about when you start using grazing management, time-controlled grazing, you actually end up increasing your carrying capacity, and you're kind of buying a farm on top of another farm for the price of a grazing plan. That's really what it costs you. It's really, really exciting. We've got data now from 18 million hectares around the world. From the day that you start time-controlled or holistic plan grazing, you have a 26% increase in carrying capacity for doing nothing. That's not for building a fence. That's not just doing a grazing plan. That's all you need. So this is really, really exciting stuff. And contrary to the common belief, you have to put up fences and all this sort of thing. No, you've just got to start here. When you start here, everything else falls into place.
We have now discussed many of the tools that we have available and some of the fundamentals of regenerative farming.